This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stockbox interview.
Today is Aidan Bishop, the founding director of Bluebird Merchant Ventures, following news from the company's Batangas gold project in the Philippines, where they have received the certificate of approval for a 2-year community development plan. Now, Aidan, this is the first time we're talking in your capacity at Bluebird Merchant Ventures. Of course, we've spoken to Colin before, but you are very familiar with the project, and this community development plan has been a bit of a sticking point, I understand, with this project. Why is this plan so important, and what are the obligations that Bluebird have to do?
Oh, thank you. It's good to be with you today. So I think in a mining project, it's very important to have a social license to operate. So you've got to have the approval of the community. This is especially so if you're looking to take a project into production. It's not that important or as important as exploration, because you're not really making a massive impact in terms of the environment, to the surface, or necessarily to the community. But when you actually want to get the stuff out of the ground, obviously that's going to make a dramatic impact. So it's very important to have consultations with the community and that the community get on side with the project. So what we announced with the certificate of approval, it basically translates to a dialogue that has taken place with the local communities as to the project, and they're supportive of the project. And of course, part of our the next 2 years is that we give back to the community, develop social plans, community programs, and so forth, and really seek to integrate the community into the project as it progresses towards production. So it's key to every mining project to have the social license to operate. And of course, sometimes that can take longer depending on where you're looking to operate.
Okay, so you really have to spend the next couple of years engaging with the community, doing local activities and development projects to enhance the local community rather than bring a negative impact to the environment and get them on side. Is that effectively what you've got to do?
Exactly. You want to engage the community and have them as your partner, stakeholder in your project, really from day one as you lead towards production. So it doesn't mean that's the only thing we're going to do. Actually, that's quite a small part of it, but it's a very important part of it. So what that means is we will provide things like some scholarships. There will be some agricultural projects that's going to be done, some healthcare projects, that type of thing. So you're mandated by the government that when you get a mining license, which Bluebird has, you have to allocate a certain percentage of the budget towards community projects.
Okay. Well, I noticed in the RNS that the joint venture plans to commence a drilling campaign to increase the resource and develop potential underground mine plan. Are you able to get on with this immediately then alongside the community plan?
Yes, absolutely. It's the community plan is something that's just as ongoing and runs in parallel. Okay. So the next stage of the project and what is happening now is engaging with a geologist who probably knows more about that project than anybody else, and coming up with a drilling program. And also already discussions are taking place with drilling contractors, and the purpose is to put together a drill program that is going to test the extension of the ore body at Lobo. So there's already established JORC resources and reserves at Lobo, and the plan is to put together a program that drills below where the previous drilling was done to test the extension at depth.
Okay, so the main objective, the outcome, if you like, at the end of this would be to find out how deep the potential resource is.
Not necessarily how deep, but to make sure the ore body extends below, and then we could keep drilling further beyond that if we wanted to. But what's happening here with this, and this is why the government gave an extension to this permit, is to represent the project as an underground mine. The previous partners were an Australian company, and they had submitted their plans based upon an open pit development, and that wasn't well received. And so we were able to get an extension of the permit based upon representing the project as an an underground mine. So the first step in being able to do that is to ensure that the ore body extends below the previous drilling work, and that will allow some engineering work to take place and some further feasibility study work to rework the mine as an underground mining opportunity.
I see. So this will all go towards helping you come up with that mine plan for the underground mine opportunity, as you say.
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you for explaining that. Now, I wonder if you can talk a little bit more about the free carry, which is, of course, quite a big element of this project with your joint venture there. So what can you tell us about that? There's actually very little cost, if any, to Bluebird Merchant Ventures for this.
There's actually no cost to Bluebird. So here's the reason why we did this. So Bluebird listed back in April, I think it was April 2016. And initially our listing was on the basis of this Batangas project. And at that time we were had a minority position with the previous partners. And the government changed in 2016, and it was pretty much, it wasn't really positive for mining companies. So the whole mining industry went into a bit of a hiatus. And with the appointment of a new government last year, there's been a renewed interest, and sentiment has shifted positively towards mining in the Philippines. So given that the fact, in order for this mine to go into production, it needs two key permissions, a declaration of mining project feasibility and an environmental compliance certificate. Now, these are not easy things to get when it comes to trying to move a project into production. And Bluebird took the opinion that given that we had a focusing career, that we would be better served in this project if we could identify a suitable partner that could advance this process, bear the costs of the next 2 years, which is the drilling, the feasibility study work, the permitting process, and their goal, of course, their last milestone is to secure the two key permits, the ECC, the Environmental Compliance Certificate, and the mining project feasibility. So Bluebird has zero cost up until that point. So we're very much de-risked. And at the point of getting those permits, and we have until September 2024 to get them, at that point, we'll be in a 60-40 joint venture in favor of the joint venture partner. And at that time, we can elect to contribute if we want to maintain our 40% stake as we progress, into the construction phase. So at this point in time, it's a free ride for Bluebird.
Okay, fantastic. Can you talk a little bit about the sort of the history of the Batangas project and the potential that you see there, why you like it so much?
Yep, there's quite a rich history to this project in Batangas. It was initially drilled looking for copper. There are some nearby, I think there's some historical copper mining. There was a lot of drilling done for copper porphyries and then later for gold. And I had tracked it some years ago, I think probably over 10 years ago, as they were increasing their JORC resources. And it looked to be an opportunity to become a low-cost producer. And that was really the intent with getting involved with the project in the early stages. And so it was spun out of a listed company to an Australian company who took on who were the 100% owner at the time. They did a deal with Bluebird in 2016 or 2015 going into our listing. And shortly after, as I said, when the government changed in 2016, there was a complete restructuring of the Australian company. They chose to divest out of that project and look for projects elsewhere. And so we picked it up. And then, as described, that's how we more recently found a partner, and we're in a joint venture.
So it's almost got a renewed sort of lease of life, let's say, in the last year with the change of government here and the interest from the joint venture partner.
Oh, completely. I mean, it was written off in the company's books for the last few years. It was ascribed zero value, despite the fact of the JORC resource of 440,000 ounces, despite the fact of the JORC reserve of 120,000 ounces, I believe it is. But it was written down to zero. So I'm not actually sure that our shareholders have ascribed any value to it, but certainly the message is clear that the project is come back to life.
Well, that's good to hear. I just want to pick up on a line that I noticed from the chairman, the CEO, Colin, there in the RNS. We believe that fast-tracking this exciting project is highly achievable. I wonder if you can talk a little bit more about what you mean by fast-tracking, try and put it into some real terms here, and also why you think it's possible to fast-track into production.
Okay, well, I mean, fast tracking into production from us where we are today, if by September 2024, we've got the two key permissions to allow this project to go into production, the underground potential at Lobo is in quite a small area. So there's an opportunity there to become quite an inexpensive producer. So we would think that we could be potentially in production once we've secured those two permits within 18 months. That would be the objective. So in the world of production, that's a pretty good timetable.
Okay, so secure your permits, and then that when get your mine plan sorted, then you'd have to presumably go and raise a bit of money to actually get the thing into production. Is that right?
It depends. I mean, I think that's a decision to make towards the middle of next year. But, once the 60-40 joint ventures being completed, then we have an opportunity to, choose what we want to do. And of course, with a feasibility study, there's the option of bank debt. If we continue with the 60-40 contributing joint venture, then of course, we'd have to put up some capital. But this is a decision for the middle of next year.
Indeed, when that mine plan comes out. Well, thank you very much, Aidan Bishop, the founding director of Bluebird Merchant Ventures, for your time today.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stockboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.